visible to all of you. So we are here with yet another interesting session of Big Bull Ki Pathshala, right? Where we'll be focusing on what not to do when you're preparing for a competitive exam at the UG level. We have a very special guest with us today, but I will call him a boy. Before that, there are certain things that I want to share with all of you. So I hope, and I'm pretty sure all of you are aware that the first merit list for Delhi University has recently come out. It came out yesterday, right? Yesterday around PM. That means we have entered the third phase.
All right, guys.
CSAS
I welcome you again to the
Delhi
session.
University.
Right. I hope I'm clearly audible and visible.
So there have been a lot of questions.
So we are here with yet another
as to what is supposed
interesting
to be done in the
session
third
of
phase
Big
with
Bull
the
Ki Pathshala.
upgrade,
Right, where
and
we'll be
these
focusing
options
on
that
what
are
not
available
to do when you're preparing for a
throughout
competitive
today,
exam
throughout the
at
day,
the
we were
UG
getting
level.
a lot of
We
queries
have a
from
very
the
special
students
guest.
asking, ma'am, what to do, how is the entire process supposed to take place? And we understand because the exam is itself taking place for the very first time, so everything is new for us as well as for you people. And we don't believe at HitBullsEye, we don't believe at misguiding, or telling things to students that we are not really 100% sure about. So yes, there are a couple of things that you should be keeping in mind when you are entering the phase of your admissions to Delhi University through the CSAS course. I'm sure all of you would have been given or would have been offered a seat at the various colleges or the combinations that you had filled in the second phase of the CSAS admission process. There are scenarios wherein one particular student has been offered 2 seats, right? So what are you supposed to do? How are you going to go ahead with it? That is something we will be discussing a little bit here. So the first step in this entire scenario in the phase of the Delhi University admissions is for you to select the seat. Whatever seat that has been offered to you, you need to accept it. You to accept the seat. Only then are you eligible for the entire process of the admissions, right? So there might be a chance that as per the preference order that you had filled in, like you people remember in the second phase, you're supposed to fill in the order of preferences. And I remember we had a BBKP session that time also, and I very specifically asked for you people to be very careful about the order of preferences that you're in the phase 2 of the process. So now, basis the order of preference you had for the course at college, the seats would be offered to you. So the first step that you think is for you to accept the seat. Okay, that's the first thing that you have to do. Even if that particular seat falls really low in your preference order, or if it falls middle, it is very important for you to accept. It is very important for you to accept the seat that has been offered to you. Right? Second thing that has to be is if you see on your dash that is available to you, there is a section called the user action column towards the extreme right side. Towards the extreme right side of your dashboard, there is this column called the user action column. So therein you have to check after little bit of duration if there is any issue being raised by Delhi University. ऐसा हो सकता है कि जो भी आपने अपनी document submit करी है, whether it is your 10th standard mark sheet or your 12th standard mark sheet or any other category, whatever was required by you to be submitted, let's presume that there is some mistake in it. वो उस action column में raise किया जाएगा Delhi University के through. So whatever seat that let's offered a seat in St. Stephen's, ठीक है? तो उसमें in the last action column, unless you don't get a notification saying approved by the principal, your seat is still not approved. So you have to keep on checking the user action column. You have to see if there is any problem with the documentation. You need to pay attention to it. Another important thing, you have time till to consider the seat that has been offered to you. So either you can accept it or you can reject it. You have the time with you till 21st October. So don't wait for the last moment to see ki, may take a lot of time. It is just 20th today. It's not true. Even if there is a little bit of, let's say, problem in a documentation, it is going to take time for you to correct it. So it becomes pivotal that you are checking user action section on the regular basis. That is the step 2. And if there is any query, you need to resolve it as soon as possible. Don't delay it. Whatever has been risen, you need to correct it at the earliest on priority. Then comes step 4 that you need to keep in mind. That is obviously paying the fees. Whatever seat has been on you to whatever college, it becomes very important that you pay the fees. अब कई बच्चे ऐसे पूछेंगे कि मैम जो मुझे सीट ऑफर हुई है वो मेरी प्रेफरेंस की है ही नहीं, अकॉर्डिंग लेट्स से नंबर 40 my preference list and I am aiming for better colleges, then why should I pay the fees for this? So you need to remember, until and unless you do not pay for the seat that has been offered to you, that seat will not be considered finalized. So it is very, very important for you to pay the fees of the college, the seat for which you've been offered. Okay. Now, let's say in round 2, you have been offered, and let's say that that particular college ranked above in your preference. So of course, you will accept the seat that you in round 2. In that case, you can upgrade your seat from round 1 to round 2. In that scenario, there will be 2 things that can happen. First, either the fees that you paid earlier in round 1 will be refunded to you, or whatever difference of fees is there, you just have to pay that. For example, let's say in round 1, whatever seat allotted to you of the XYZ college, say you paid 10,000 there as the fees. Now in round 2, there was another college offered to you which ranked higher in your preference list, and fees for that particular college was, let's say, 12 fees. So you will just have to pay 2,000 extra just to adjust the fees. All right. So don't be in this illusion कि ये तो मेरी preference का college ही नहीं है या course ही नहीं है, so I might not accept it or I might not pay the fees. So your admission procedure will not be considered fulfilled until you until you pay the fees for the same. That is again a very, very important point. The last date for you to submit the fees will be 24th of August to you, falling under the branch of Delhi University. Now, another important thing, another step, that is step 5, most important and the crucial step is the step of upgrade or freeze. Now, what does that mean? Let's say that, of course, I wanted BCom honors. I had filled in my preference for BCom honors as number 1, and the college preference was for, let's say, RCC, Shri Ram College. Okay? So by chance, because I had scored a good score in the very first round, I got SR. BCom course भी मिल गया, BCom course मिल गया और मुझे SRCC भी मिल गया in the very first go, the allotment round, in the round 1. In that case, I don't have to upgrade the seat. Because satisfied with the college as well as the course that has been offered to me. In that case, what I will do is I will freeze the seat. Okay, but there is another scenario जहाँ पे कोई ऐसा कॉलेज मिला जो मेरी प्रेफरेंस में 10th, तो उस केस में I will of course accept the seat. से round 2 में मुझे कोई सीट अलॉट हुई है मेरी प्रेफरेंस में नंबर 3 पे फॉल कर, so in that case what I will do is I will upgrade seat from number 10 to number 3 in the second round of counseling or the second round of selection. Here one thing, guys, let's say कि आपको 10th number की preference की seat allot हुई है, whatever college that you put on number 10 has been offered presently. So once you have accepted it, all the college preferences that were lying below 10 के नीचे जितने भी college, they will be nullified. Okay, they will not be offered to you. Will obviously be offered that will rank higher in the hierarchy. So I hope this system is clear to all of you. This system will pertain from round 1 to round 2 to round 3 to as many rounds of Delhi University will be conducting in future. Okay, I hope it is clear to you. I have tried to explain it to you in the. If you people have any questions, queries about the three off-seat allocation for university UG admissions to 22. Please feel free to put it in the comment section, and we will be to help you out with it. Now is the time to welcome the guest for our today's show. He is senior, right, and is very intimidating for me to conduct today. Please welcome Mr. Harinder sir. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello, Vagisha.
How are you, sir?
I am doing pretty fine, and I heard the great thoughts and the sharings of the DU admissions which you are sharing with the students. They'll be really enlightened, understand the complete process and procedure, because that is the most difficult thing at this point of time for the students.
Right.
Yeah.
So, sir, basically the reason why we are conducting this particular session is to help the students with the quant section for various exams. We have IPM, we have CUET, we have CLAT, and many other exams. Quant is like the aloo every exam. My question, which I myself have, is why do you think a lot of students are afraid of subject quants? Like I myself was very petrified of the subject when I was in my 10th standard. I did at 10th itself. So why do you think people have that fear?
I personally feel that, not talking about your perspective or the other students' perspective, but what we have conventionally observed, even talking about my school, and I used to attend classes from our maths teachers. See, basically, the way our system operates, that especially in these days, the kind of students who are going to their UG exams, taking these, that they even try to handle or manage math like another subject. So what they basically want to do is they try that as we manage our Hindi or our English or our social studies or our science, all the subjects, they try to manage even mathematics in that manner. And in that, what they do is basically they try to cram the things, they try to cram the formulas, they try to mention their answers, that they are able to score marks. And as far as the teachers are concerned, they are also not that the students should be constantly clear about anything and everything which they are going to teach in the classes. It's all about they should just be able to solve the question which is exam, which is supposed to appear in the exam. This all last 5 years papers, last 10 years papers. So basically, I personally feel जो इसकी लर्निंग होती है किसी सब्जेक्ट से, चाइल्ड का इंटरेस्ट, लाइकिंग या लव डेवलप होता है, दैट इज ऑल एंड ऑल थ्रू दैट ओनली वी आर गोइंग टू टीच अस इन आवर प्राइमरी क्लासेस, इन आवर हायर लेवल क्लासेस. सो यूजुअली जो टीचर्स हैं वो अपने सब्जेक्ट में यहीं तक ज्यादातर टीचर्स इंटरेस्ट दिखाते हैं. तो देयर आर डेफिनेटली more than a few exceptional subjects, they create interest on the students, but most of them just try to take it just like a duty to finish the syllabus and all that, instead liking some fascination in the mind of the student about the subject, so that gives them an interest to read more than their academics books require. Basically, that is the reason. And mathematics has always been like this, that students have, as I just said earlier, they just try to compare it just with another subject, that they just want to score max. So sometimes what they do, they try to just memorize a concept, try to memorize the answers and the questions, and this is the method to solve this kind of a question, is what they try to go through, instead of learning the things concept wise, so that if there is any trap or trick in the question, they should be able to handle it conceptually. That is basically the problem with the students, and majority of that is created by the teachers in our schools.
Right. Very true, sir. I was very scared of my maths teacher, the one who taught me in my class. They're usually very strict, right? Okay. So another thing, sir, that I would want, it's a very common question that a lot of students have, is what should be the strategy when you're preparing for the quant section for different exams, like a common strategy that could be there for different exams that they're preparing for?
See, talking about it, the best strategy for preparing any section of the exam, talking about any other section or mathematics specifically. See, the whole idea is that what I suggest students that maybe you're preparing with an institute, maybe you're preparing with us, maybe you're preparing with your own. Just remember that what the foreign books basically deliver to you. If you remember, all of us, when I was in my graduation and my post-graduation, we used to feel that foreign books are self-explanatory, right? You don't need any other help in order to understand a topic, in order to understand a question and move further, right? So considering that, first of all, what happens is that whichever topic you want to learn, you must go through the theory or the written part about it, for which, as we provide in our students at HitBullsEye, we provide them with ebooks of various topics, talking about any topic. Say I talk about the topic profit and loss, right? So taking it as an example, they should go about the theory part of it, starting from what do you mean by cost price, selling price, mark price, discount, profit. So one by one, they learn the basic theory of that. Then it is ideally should be followed by a few examples, starting from the very easy, going to the easy, average level, good level, very good level, and outstanding level of questions, examples, right? And up to these two parts, the student who has to do learning. Now, these days, the differentiation factor is that it used to be the time that the students were more sincere, and reading used to give them sufficient idea about the concept so that they can attempt the questions. But these days, we all know YouTube is of great help. So we all try to learn the concept by watching the videos. So considering that in mind, we also have developed videos of each and every topic, 4 to 5 concept videos, which students can just go through so that they understand the concepts better. Now, all these 3 steps, going through the basic theory, going through the examples of all the levels, and going through the concept videos, it helps basically to create some basic level of understanding of the topic.
Right.
Then the next thing moves on to that you start practicing with easy level of questions, then medium level of questions, then solving the higher level of questions of the exam which you are preparing for, which finally boils down to that this is basically, I talked about one specific topic, that is profit and loss. So moving further so on, जब आप इस तरीके से सारे topics कर लेते हैं, then you go on and solve basically the sectional part for mathematics, जिसमें maths का पूरा section देखते हो, which finally then again you take on and move on to doing the full length test of the exam which you are preparing for. This is how ideally the preparation of a competition should be going on. And while doing this process through this whole journey, you must always keep a time in between to revise the things, to have a recap session, to have a revision session about the topics, and practicing the difficult questions, revising from those, and so on.
Right, right.
Yes.
So I'm not really sure whether people who are not enrolled with us at HitBullsEye are actually aware about follow this system of practicing or preparing for the quants.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And so what, according to you, are the common mistakes that students actually make when they are preparing for
the major problem with the UG students at this level is that this is their basically first competition exam which they usually take. And first, though it always has a very special place in our hearts, anything like first 10, but at the same time, it has a very different experiences also. Right. So far, when the students take their UG exam, most of them have only taken their 10th, their 11th, or any exam which a board conducts, right? Be it CBSE or any other state board. But the thing is that our conventional approach of solving the questions in the specific order and attempting the complete paper and doing each and every question which comes our way, which comes in that section, so that we score well and all that stuff is basically is a mistake. Because as far as a competition exam is concerned, the main strategy is we never advise any student to follow the question paper in the sequence given. Unlike the academic paper, there we say question number 1 हम पहले करेंगे, question number 2 हम उसके बाद करेंगे, and so on. Here we know that there if you used to attempt questions which consist of the complete 100 marks, here you are supposed to attempt questions worth 45, 50, 55, talking about the 100 marks, right? just for an example, so that you not only score well, but you score well in the limited period of time which every competitive exam offers, right? So if I have to attempt only 45 or 50 marks questions, those should be those 45 or 50 marks questions which are easiest as per my level of strength, right? And it may not be the same for Ram and Sham. It may not be the same for John and Peter. It could be absolutely different, right? It might be very, very different for Vagisha as well as for Sheetal, right? Now, when you talk about similarly, say there's a reading comprehension, there are two reading comprehensions in the exam. And when I know I ought to attempt only one because that may be an area where I'm not very comfortable, then I should try to choose the area, the paragraph which I have either interest or I have a background related to the same, right? Now, for example, if I'm an engineer, I may like to choose a passage based on technology, right? Or machinery. A commerce graduate may like to have a passage on economics, right? A humanity graduate may like to have a passage on sociology or psychology and so on. So when you're sure that I have to attempt only one passage, one paragraph, it has to belong to the area which I identified most and most comfortably. Right. So यहाँ पे ये point जो है ये academic से सबसे ज़्यादा different होता है. Whereas when you talk about the same thing for PG students, they have already taken one or the other exam in their academic careers till that point of time. But UG students have just taken 10th or +1 exam. So this is the biggest mistake basically they do. The strategy to attempt this competitive paper is absolutely different from the strategy to attempt an academic paper.
Cool.
So their students need to understand the points which I just discussed.
Yeah, so basically in our schools, when we are preparing, let's say for the board exam, we are nurtured in this way of that 11th hour wala ki 15 din pehle hi tayari karne, 15 days pehle they are trying to prepare one night before. That is not the right approach. जब आप एक competitive exam के लिए तैयारी करें,
competitive के लिए it is absolutely not going to work for that. No, what you just discussed that even I am a gold medalist in commerce from this Punjab University only. Even in my graduation, we used to do that. We might study in last 15-20 days, but all the theory subject. But this thing was very clear that whichever practical subject we have to deal with, we have to be working on the same side by side as the classes are going to take place in the colleges. That is manageable. But here, everything in the competitive exam is equally placed, and you have to score reasonably well in all the section. And in order to qualify any good college, you have to show your efficiency and your productivity in all the sections. And if you just bother that I'll only attempt the verbal or I'll only attempt mathematics, so you are never going to, never going to get the good score or clear basically the competitive paper.
Right. We have students who enroll at 11th class. Let's say they want to prepare for IPMAT. 11th class se wo tayari karna shuru karte the, they give themselves 2 years for preparation. So I think that much time, that much discipline, most important, and consistency I feel is very, very important. Regular studies is very, very important, I feel, right?
Absolutely. See, if you compare any IPMAT exam, this IPM Indore exam, around 30, 40, 50,000 students take the exam, and the number of seats are so less. So if you compare it in terms of admission into the this college, this is as good or as bad as the students who prepare for their engineering exams and they have to take admission into an IIT, right? So it is definitely that they have a bigger market size. There are so many IITs, right? There are so many seats, there are so many streams in engineering. The admission is going to be equally tough in this case. So if a student prepares for 2 years, this is going to be very, very helpful for the student, because as we all know, for the engineering students start from their 9th or 10th classes, right? Rather, I remember we come across that one of our known persons who were teaching in this NEET Academy, that is medical exam, he said that once a mother sent me a query that my daughter is into her 5th standard and she want to prepare for this MBBS exams. You feel we are late? Said, no, thank God she's starting on time. Otherwise, there are people who start before their birth also for this MBBS exams, right? So that is said on a lighter side, but the people on this medical and engineering side, they start from 8th, 9th, 10th classes, right? So here also slowly the students start preparing for their IPM exams, talking especially about IPM Indore, which has a very high competition, a very good difficulty level of the paper. So I think if a student prepare for 2 years, it's definitely going to be beneficial. And not only this, but besides this, because the students in +1 and +2 have their own in terms of, own problems also in terms of college exams and mid-semester exams and the semester exams, because so they may take breaks also, because when you prepare by taking sufficient gaps in between, revising the things, and then with the new energy you keep and continue with that, that definitely proves to be much, much beneficial comparatively.
Absolutely true, sir. And also for the people who are preparing for it at UG level, they have to prepare for their boards side by side. And then there are multiple exams that they're preparing. For example, they're preparing for CUET. I think pretty much everybody would prepare for CUET, whether it is for management or for law.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, CUET as the exam, no, they have their own domain exam. So they need to understand, study, and read every subject like that, that they may get any subjective question, any objective question from any page, So it should be more detailed for them in terms of the subjects also, in terms of either taking general aptitude, they need to prepare the classes, what they learned in their earlier classes. And this time, the way this general aptitude paper was conducted, there are so many questions from mental ability area, from mathematics area. So they need to do almost each and everything with that they have done in their +1, +2 until the 10th classes for mathematics and for English. So yes, they need to prepare well for that also if they want to get admission into a good college under DU or any other one.
Yes, so that was about Quant. Quant is something that students have been studying from a very young age. That is something, it is something which is familiar to them. Let's talk about logical reasoning and data interpretation. Now that is something which is very new for the students who have just done their 12th standard. It is something which is very new, but they're not taught logical reasoning or data, maybe a little bit of data interpretation, maybe in economics or statistics, but logical reasoning is absolutely new for them. Sitting arrangement and syllogism and topics like that. So how should they prepare?
Exactly. See, what we tell the students is that this reasoning or the data interpretation is something which everyone is at par, and none of them have studied it earlier in their academics till 10th or +1, right? So basically, again, the basic approach of learning anything is the same of going through the basic theory of something, followed by some examples, followed by the concept videos of the same, and we at HBE provide each and everything which is required over there. And besides that, followed by some sufficient number of questions, because reasoning and data interpretation ये दो ऐसे areas हैं जिसके बारे में किसी student ने पहले कुछ भी नहीं किया हुआ है. So it is very important that they not only understand the concept, but they do practice 50 to 100 questions of each and every topic, so they get that required confidence of attempting those questions in the exam, not only by doing it correctly, but also by solving it under time pressure. And this point is of utmost importance for every student whosoever is preparing for any competitive paper. Say time is money. You will see it seems very easy that it's 2 hours. When you start thinking in terms of it's 120 minutes and there are 120 or 150 questions, and you actually have close to 1 minute per question, when you really start feeling that pressure, there you realize what is all about the difference in terms of a competitive paper or an academic paper. So you need to prepare well, you need to grasp all the required knowledge, you need to understand the strategy, you need to make the absolute strategy suitable to your personality, your strength and your weaknesses. You need to take sufficient number of mocks for which you are preparing. Only then you are going to make it actually. You're going to make it happen.
Absolutely fine. Absolutely, sir. So talking about the resources that we provided HitBullsEye, there is a podcast. We are providing podcasts for law and for current affairs. Like how amazing is that? I don't think there is an availability for podcast otherwise. We have a podcast called Law Scope for the legal reasoning part for CLAT. And then we have another one called Bulldoze, wherein we are providing a podcast on current affairs, right? So people can multitask while they're traveling, working out, or any, menial tasks of the day. They can always multitask listening to the podcast. That I think is a really great addition from HitBullsEye.
Absolutely. And besides that, I like to add here for the students who are watching us all live, people, if you have any other specific doubt about any of the exams which you are preparing for, be it CUET, IPM Rohtak, or talking about ZipMat or CLAT or any other, you may please post your comments, post your queries in the comment section so that we can help you with the same as well, right?
Yeah, yes. Okay, another thing, sir, that I feel a lot of students apparently are very scared about are the mocks. They don't tend to give mocks. Like I have heard students saying कि अरे मैम अभी तो syllabus खत्म नहीं हुआ, मैं तो last के एक महीने में mocks देना शुरू करूंगा. They don't understand how important mocks are in the preparation. We talked about the selection of the questions. So mocks play a very important role there. They help you identify your strengths and weaknesses, and then in return help you choose कौन सा question करना है, कौन सा नहीं करना है, right? So anything else apart from that mocks are important for?
Yeah, they are absolutely very, very important. Rather, this is another very crucial point where students should make their way to think different from the academic papers. See, what we tell the students, being in the industry, and we have been training the students for more than 25 years now, we tell them that if you talk about any PG level or any UG level exam, and if you keep on waiting that let me finish my syllabus first, maybe 70%, 80%, and still when you start taking the exams, most of them will feel in the first 1, 2, 3 exams of full-length test or the mock papers they're taking, that there are so many topics or the questions which are out of syllabus. They use this kind of terms because they're habitual of the academics paper where out of syllabus is something people take very seriously. But when you talk about a competitive paper, there is nothing which you call as a defined syllabus. If they say it's a quantitative aptitude, they may include and exclude anything or everything. When you say they are going to ask questions on logical reasoning, तो वो कुछ भी डाल सकते हैं, कुछ भी exclude कर सकते हैं, कुछ भी include कर सकते हैं, and so on, right? So when the students start thinking, sir, let me just finish with 70% of the syllabus or 80% of the syllabus, then I will start attempting the mock. That is absolutely a wrong myth about the preparation. We tell the students initially that you cannot afford that you just wait to finish the 70%, because maybe finishing 70% of the syllabus will be up to a time when you are just very close to the exam, right? So what you should do as soon as, we don't say that as soon as you have started the preparation, you may take the mock on the first day. Though sometimes we suggest that you take a diagnostic paper in the first go to understand where you are standing at that point in time. Post that, as soon as you have finished with your 30% of the syllabus, you may start taking the mocks. And you must start taking the mocks because it takes 10, 12, 15 mocks to understand आपको पेपर अटेम्प्ट कैसे करना चाहिए, किन किन चीजों का ध्यान रखना चाहिए, क्या क्या चीजें जरूर करनी चाहिए और क्या क्या चीजें जरूर नहीं करनी चाहिए, right? As we kept the topic of this, how not to prepare for quant was also basically because there is one thing, there is not a special way where you say that this should be the ideal way to preparation, but there are something special which you should not be doing. As I said, you should never attempt any paper in the sequence the way the questions are given in that, right? And you should not focus कि मुझे हर question exam में करना है. You should not focus कि हर चीज जिस sequence में आई है मुझे करनी है. जो मुझे आता है वो करते जाना है. ऐसा कुछ भी fix नहीं हो सकता. And you have to keep on experimenting with so many things that you need to take a total of 15 to 20 mocks overall to finally let the things settle in your mind that for me as an individual, this is the strategy which works best.
Right.
And talking about the same thing, what is working best may not be suitable for Mr. Harinder as it may be suitable for Ms. Vagisha or someone else.
Right. So strategy has to be basically customized as
it has to be customized, it has to be tailor-made, very, very dependent upon the strength, the weaknesses, the areas you are most comfortable with, the areas you absolutely don't want to attempt should also be given a consideration, and so on.
Yes, sir. Sir, if I ask you on a general level, what is the ideal time for a student to appear for mocks? How prior to the exam?
See, I think every student, whichever level of preparation they are at, they should start taking the mocks minimum 6 months before their exam is there. This time period is, I'm saying, is minimum. It could be 7, 8, 9 months also. But jab aapke exam ko 6 mahine, you must start taking the mocks. I'm not talking about the students who start the preparation at very close to the exam. They join for a crash course. See, they cannot attempt a mock because they might have developed the idea in the last 2 months only to take the paper, right? But if you are starting the preparation on time, then as soon as close to 6 months are left for your exam, you must start taking the mocks on a regular basis.
Right. Absolutely right, sir. Okay, so guys, keep on asking your questions. We have a question, sir, about HSEE at UG level. So, yeah, would you want to take it?
Sorry, please repeat the question.
She wants to know about HSEE at the UG level, the exam. HSEE, that is.
Yes, Sneha, I can read that. Sneha, it was there, but if you have read of late, the Chennai University has stopped, IIT Chennai has stopped this HSEE course of late. So they are not going to conduct the exam now, right? It used to be conducted till the last year, and we have made the students prepare for the same. Now they declare they are not going to have the HSEE exam.
Right. It was conducted by IIT Madras. Now it has been discontinued. So
yes,
that exam does not exist anymore, Sneha.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, sir, talking about mock analysis. Now, giving mock is one thing. Absolutely crucial and equally crucial is mock analysis.
Yes.
So, I mean, that helps you identify, as it is usually said, and
Yes.
I was the expert, but I still would want to say that every question paper has 3 types of questions: easy, medium, and difficult. So mock analysis help you identify which question falls in which category for you. So, sir, what is the ideal way of mock analysis according to you?
What I tell the students, that the myth among the students sometimes is that today I took an exam, out of 100, I'm just taking an example, out of 100, I scored 35 marks. Now, in the next paper, I will do well and I will score more. And say in the next paper, or 1, 2, 3 days when they take the next paper, if I consider the level of the paper to be same, which will normally be the condition, they are not going to get any different in terms of their scores. So if they took basically the marks which were 35 in the first, they're going to score 35 only in the second also, right? Taking a test doesn't tell you that your performance is improving. Taking a test, one test, and taking the next test, what you do in between those 2 tests is actually make you progress in terms of scoring higher marks.
Right.
So basically, analyzing a paper means that out of 100 questions, if I scored 35 correct, let me take it to be 1 mark per question. I need to go through each and every questions in a detailed manner while analyzing. And I suggest a student that there are questions of 4 categories. The questions you attempted and went right, the questions you attempted and went wrong, the questions you saw, you tried, but you could not solve, and the questions you did not try at all, right? And you must see the questions of each and every category, or you must see all the 100 questions once again. With the following logic in mind: 1, the questions which you attempted and went right, how you could have attempted it in a lesser span of time. वो क्वेश्चन तो मेरा ठीक गया, बट क्या वहां पे कोई तरीका था जिससे मैं इसको और जल्दी करके अपने टाइम को सेव कर सकता था? Number 2, the questions which I attempted, they went wrong. Number 1, why they went wrong? Did you made some wrong equation? Did you make some wrong calculation? Did you make some logical guessing? whatever out of these 3 or 4 you did, what went precisely wrong, and you're going to note that in the register or the diary which you use for your analysis, that when I think this kind of a thing, I always make a mistake. So red point, I need to be careful while solving such question or while making such guesses. Point 3, the questions which I tried but I could not attempt, why? I must have started, I know time is very precious, तो मैंने यही सोच के शुरू किया होगा कि ये क्वेश्चन को मैं कर सकता हूँ. So अगर ये एरिया, ये टॉपिक मैंने किया हुआ है, ये क्वेश्चन मेरे से होना चाहिए, what was so complex in this question which I couldn't do, so I must be able to do it next time. Number 4, the questions which I did not attempt, why so? उसमें से ऐसे कितने questions हैं जो मुझे आते थे और मैंने देखे ही नहीं, so I need to change the sequence of the way I attempt the questions. और जो question इस area के थे जो मुझे आते ही नहीं थे, so there were 2 questions on geometry and mensuration I couldn't attempt. So means I must revise the topic of geometry and mensuration so that I can attempt the questions of the same in the next mock. So आपके पास हर क्वेश्चन का ये आंसर होना चाहिए, और जब आप कोई भी अगला मॉक पेपर अटेम्प्ट करने जाएं, उससे पहले आप अपनी ये डायरी उठाकर हर लर्निंग को अच्छे से रिवाइज करें और पेपर अटेम्प्ट करते हुए इन चीजों का ध्यान रखें. एंड व्हेन यू डू द सेकंड पेपर एनालिसिस, आप उसमें फिर ये सारी चीजें नोट करें, एंड बिफोर अटेम्प्टिंग एवरी पेपर यू रिवाइज एवरी पॉइंट यू हैव रिटन on the diary in the register after analysis of all the previous mocks.
Right, sir.
This is how do you grow. This is how you grow in terms of learning. This is how you grow in terms of attempt, grow in terms of marks, and grow in terms of getting a better and better college.
Right, right. So very, very rightly put. And it has been a very, very informative session. So we are towards the end of the session. So any motivational words that you'd want to give to our audience who are listening?
Exactly. Students, I mention, I tell every one of you that it is very, very important that you make the right decision for yourself. आप जो भी करना चाहते हो, आपने काउंसलिंग करवाया, आपने टेस्ट करवाया, साइकोमेट्रिक टेस्टिंग किया, जो भी आपने डिसाइड किया, whichever is suitable, उसके बारे में जितनी जल्दी हो सके अपने करियर पाथ को डिफाइन करें, डिजाइन करें, अकॉर्डिंगली पूरी सिंसियरिटी के साथ उसकी तैयारी करें. ठीक है. When you prepare, obviously you come across so many difficulties, so many hurdles which you need to cross. Not only cross them effectively. There will be so many discouraging points. Sometimes you're not getting score, your friends are getting better than you, the pressure of the board exams, the pressure of the schools, the pressure of the tuitions. You need to manage all that along with your studies, right? But I personally feel the moment you become a little organized, you make a proper timetable. This is the time I need to study. This is the time I need to study for competitive exam. This is the time I need to study. Maybe keep the time for playing, for chatting with the friends, for WhatsApp, for all other social media. All that is part of life. Nothing should be ignored, but it should be organized. आपको पता होना चाहिए कि अगर कल मेरा मॉक है, so today I need to spend more time on revising the concepts and all so that I score better. वो सारी चीजें करें people, और साथ साथ जो चीजें आपको वहां पे डीमोटिवेट कर रही हैं, डिस्करेज कर रही हैं, उनको चेंज करते जाएं. अपने मेंटोर से, अपने गाइड से, अपने इंस्टीट्यूट से, अपने ट्रेनर से रेगुलरली बात करें. जो भी दिक्कत आ रही है, every problem have a solution, but the thing is solution should be in exact agreement with the problem. It is just like this कि अगर आपके घर में मच्छर घुस आता है तो आप तलवार लेकर नहीं निकल सकते, और सिमिलरली अगर आपके घर में हाथी आता है तो गुड नाइट लगाने से कुछ नहीं होगा, राइट? सो जिस तरीके का प्रॉब्लम है उस तरीके का ही आपका सॉल्यूशन होना चाहिए. और मैं अक्सर स्टूडेंट्स को यही कहता हूं कि अगर आपने अपना करियर सही से डिजाइन किया है, अच्छे से सोचा है, तो यही सही टाइम होता है तैयारी शुरू करने का. अगर आप ठीक टाइम पे तैयारी स्टार्ट करते हैं, आपको टाइम मिलता है, आप अच्छे से तैयारी करते हैं, ठीक है. एंड आई ऑलवेज से दैट जीत उनकी होती है जिनके इरादों में जान होती है. जीत उनकी होती है जिनके इरादों में जान होती है. पंखों से कुछ नहीं होता, हौसलों से उड़ान होती है. राइट, राइट. सो इट इज नेवर एवर द विंग्स. बेसिकली इट्स ऑलवेज द डेयर यू वांट टू टेक, I want to do this, and you will always be able to do.
Right, right. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us today, for your precious time, right? And I hope this session was informative for all of you. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
And I think whenever the students need, we can plan more such sessions. Absolutely, all right. Right?
So students, if there is any question that you were not able to get an answer to, please make sure that you post it in the comment section. We will be proactive to answer it for you. Apart from that, we will be sharing, there is the Telegram link in the description section. Make sure that you join the Telegram group for a regular discussion, right? And if you like the video, please press the like button, subscribe to our channel for the upcoming updates, and share it with your friends so that even they are up to date as you are. Thank you so much. A very happy Diwali to all of you in advance. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week with another interesting session